The French Bulldog isn't French, and its DNA proves it. This is a dog named after a country it was never from. And for more than 100 years, one of the most popular dogs on earth has been carrying a nationality that its own genome flatly denies. Right now, the Frenchie sits at the very top of the dog world. In 2022, it became the most registered breed with the American Kennel Club, and it did it again the year after, ending the Labrador Retriever's 31-year reign at number 1. Millions of people look at that flat little face, those wide bat ears, that compact body, and they see Paris. They see cafes and cobblestones and something effortlessly, unmistakably French. But that picture is a marketing story. And when scientists finally read the breed's genetic code, they didn't find Paris at all. They found a smoky English factory town, a breed of dog that no longer exists, and a set of mutations that rewrite everything we thought we knew about where this animal came from and what we've actually done to it. The name on the collar says France. The genome tells a completely different story, and once you've heard the real one, you can't unsee it. To find where the French Bulldog actually began, you have to leave France entirely and travel to Nottingham, England, in the middle of the 1800s. This was the beating heart of the world's handmade lace industry, and it was full of women bent over their work in cold, drafty rooms for long hours and low pay. Those women kept a very particular kind of dog. Not the massive, snarling bulldog bred for the blood sport of bull baiting. That older bulldog was a strong, athletic animal, high on the leg, built for violence. But when England banned bull baiting in the 1830s, the bulldog suddenly had no job. So breeders started making something smaller. They took the bulldog down to between 12 and 25 pounds, and along the way they crossed in terriers and a touch of pug. What came out the other side was a compact, lively little companion with a round head and a stubborn streak. They called it the toy bulldog. And here's the first thing that should stop you. That dog, the true ancestor of the Frenchie, is extinct. No kennel club in the world recognizes it anymore. It exists now only inside its descendants. The Nottingham lacemakers adored these little bulldogs. They were small enough to curl up in a lap like a living hot water bottle in a freezing workshop, and thanks to that terrier blood, they were sharp enough to kill the rats that threatened expensive spools of lace. Lapdog and ratter in one tidy package. That practical, affectionate temperament, the thing every Frenchie owner falls in love with today, was forged in an English industrial town by working women who needed a dog that could do 2 jobs at once. There is nothing French about any of it. The breed's entire foundation was poured on English soil. So how does an English factory dog end up wearing a French name? The answer is that the factories won. By the middle of the 1800s, the Industrial Revolution was doing to the lace makers exactly what it did to so many skilled workers. Machines arrived that could produce textiles 100 times faster than any human hand, and the home-based lace trade collapsed. The women of Nottingham lost their livelihoods. Around 1860, many of them packed up and crossed the English Channel to northern France, to Normandy and the Calais region, where handmade lace was still valued and their skills could still feed them. And they did not leave the dogs behind. The little toy bulldogs went with them. In France, something strange and wonderful happened to these dogs. They caught on. The popularity spread out of the countryside and straight into Paris, and a real trade sprang up, with English breeders shipping small bulldogs across the Channel to meet French demand. The French started calling them Bulldogs Français, French bulldogs, and the name stuck to a dog that had been English all along. But look at who actually made the Frenchie fashionable, because it wasn't royalty. These dogs became the companions of ordinary, gritty Paris. Butchers, cafe owners, rag dealers, and most famously, they became the mascots of the women of the Paris night, the Belle de Nuit of Montmartre. A funny little bulldog on a lap was a conversation starter, an icebreaker, part of the scenery of the demi-monde. Artists noticed. The dogs turned up in paintings by Edgar Degas and Toulouse-Lautrec, woven right into the fabric of Bohemian Paris. Then came the Americans. Wealthy tourists on their grand tour of Europe saw these quirky dogs and had to have them, and they started carrying French bulldogs back across the Atlantic. It was American breeders who made the single most defining decision in the whole story. There was a fight over the ears. Some wanted the rose ear that folded over, the way the Old English bulldog's ear did. The Americans insisted on the tall, upright bat ear, and they wrote it into the standard. The French Bulldog Club of America, founded in 1897, was the organization that formally settled the argument and enshrined the bat ear in the official breed standard, making it permanent. That silhouette you picture the instant someone says Frenchie, those big upright ears, is not French and not even really English. It's an American design choice. By 1905, the French Bulldog was recognized as its own breed by the American Kennel Club, separate from its English cousin. The Kennel Club in the United Kingdom recognized the breed as well, cementing the standard on both sides of the Atlantic. 3 countries each grabbed a piece of the credit, but not one of them started with a French dog. For most of a century, that was where the story ended. A charming tale of English dogs, French flair, and American ears. Then geneticists started sequencing dog genomes, and the charming story turned into something much darker. When scientists read the French Bulldog's DNA, they found it sitting in a tight genetic cluster with 2 other breeds, the English Bulldog and the Boston Terrier. These 3 share the same flat, wide skull, the same wide-set eyes, the same short stature, and one very telling feature, a truncated kinked tail that breeders call the screw tail. And researchers found the specific mutation behind it. In a study that sequenced 100 dogs across 21 breeds and turned up more than 12 million genetic variants, scientists pinned that screw tail to a change in a gene called DVL2, part of a critical developmental pathway. In humans, defects in that same family of genes cause a condition called Robinow syndrome. In these dogs, they named the canine version Robinow-like syndrome. Sit with what that means. The cute corkscrew tail is not a quirk. It's the visible signature of a mutation in a gene that controls how a body is built, and it doesn't travel alone. That same DVL2 mutation also drives the formation of hemivertebrae, malformed, wedge-shaped spinal bones, which is why so many French bulldogs suffer from chronic back pain and neurological problems that have nothing to do with how they were raised or cared for. Here is the part that should change how you look at the breed forever. The traits we find adorable and the traits that make these dogs suffer are the same genetics. The flat, pushed-in face that everyone finds so expressive is brachycephaly, and scientists have traced it to markers in genes with names like BMP3 and SMOC2. That same flat face is why the Frenchie can barely breathe. It's a condition called brachycephalic obstructive airway syndrome, or BOAS, and the numbers are brutal. In one large veterinary study, more than half of French bulldogs, 55%, had moderate to severe stenotic nares. That's the clinical term for abnormally narrowed nostrils, so tight that air can barely pass through. When researchers measured how heritable these breathing problems were, they landed between 39 and 58%, which in plain terms means this is baked deep into the genes, not just bad luck. And when dogs need surgery to open their airways just to live a normal life, French bulldogs show up more than any other breed, making up over half the cases in some surgical reviews. The short legs come from a mutation called chondrodysplasia. The spinal problems, intervertebral disc disease, hemivertebrae, the screw tail, all of it traces back to the same small pool of developmental genes that were selected over and over because they produced a look that people would pay for. The average French bulldog lives only 10 to 12 years, and a staggering 80% of them are delivered by cesarean section because the breed's own skull shape makes natural birth nearly impossible. And here's the cruelest twist the DNA reveals. There are genetic tests today for more than 30 canine diseases, but the French Bulldog's worst problems mostly aren't single gene switches you can test for and breed away. They're polygenic and structural, woven from many genes at once and from the very shape of the dog. You cannot separate the Frenchie's most beloved features from its deepest suffering, because at the level of the code, they are the same thing. We didn't accidentally build a sick dog. We selected for it, one adorable trait at a time. So let's go back to that name on the collar, the French Bulldog. Because now you know that almost every word of the story we tell ourselves about this dog is wrong. It isn't French. It's the child of an extinct English factory dog, rebranded in Paris and finished in America. Its most famous feature was an ocean away from where it began, and its most beloved traits are the same mutations that steal its breath. And this breed has come closer to vanishing than most people realize. The toy bulldog that started it all died out completely. The French Bulldog itself nearly followed. By 1940, it had crashed into rare breed status, almost forgotten, hanging on by a thread. A dog that had been the darling of Paris and the toast of wealthy Americans was, within a few decades, almost gone. Then it came roaring back, not because it got healthier and not because anyone fixed the genetics, but because it got popular again. That same flat face and those same bad ears that caused so much trouble turned out to be irresistible in the age of the internet, and demand exploded. The breed climbed all the way from near extinction to the single most registered dog in America, dethroning the Labrador after 31 years on top. A dog built from a lost breed, nearly erased, engineered back to the very summit of the dog world. That is the real French Bulldog. Not a French aristocrat, but a survivor stitched together across 3 countries and rescued from the edge more than once. There are French Bulldog rescue organizations today doing the quiet work of rehoming the dogs whose owners didn't understand what they were taking on. The vet bills, the surgeries, the breathing treatments. And those organizations exist because the gap between how we market this animal and what we've actually built is wider than most people want to admit. When scientists finally read its DNA, they didn't just correct the map of where it came from. They handed us a mirror. Every kink in that tail, every labored breath, every adorable feature is a record of a choice a human being made about what this animal should look like. The Frenchie was never what we thought. It was always a reflection of us. And the next time someone points at that little dog and says how French it looks, you'll know the truth written right there in its genes. It was English all along. And it was ours all along, too.